And welcome to this edition of Smoky Mountain Sports. I'm Daniel Sparkman along with Brian Hamilton. We've had a busy week in high school athletics, and we've got a busy week ahead, week 3 of high school sports, and we've got some college action coming up. Brian?
Yeah, it really just never slows down this time of year. We just got jumped into high school football 2 weeks ago, and now we're adding coverage of 4 college teams that we're going to be talking about today. And we add more colleges in basketball season. So only 4 of the schools that we cover on the college spectrum play football. So, yeah, it's a good weekend of high school games. What did you think, Daniel?
Yeah, it was it was a good week. We've had a lot of action. In fact, we've even had some good volleyball and girls soccer. You got out to some volleyball games this past week, so tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I went to a tri-match last Monday. It was at Seymour. You had Seymour Lady Eagles and Cocke County Lady Red, and also Gatlinburg Pittman was there. Really, Seymour had a great day. They won both matches against Cocke County and Gatlinburg Pittman 2-0. Gatlinburg Pittman, unfortunately, they lost both matches, two sets to nothing. Nobody forced. We did not have a third set. That's kind of how it works in the tri matches. Say if you just go and it's not 3 teams there, they will play best of 5. But in the tri matches, just due to time, since you have 3 teams there, they play a best of 3. So we did not have a game 3 in any of those. Cocke County in the middle game, they took out Gatlinburg Pittman 2-0. So it was really fun to watch. That's my first volleyball action this year, and also we've had some soccer action too. Alcoa, they had their first setback outside of a tie to start the year, and they lost to Maryville, who's 6A, obviously, and they lost that one 5-0, and then they went to region play and defeated Pigeon Forge 7-0 last week. So the Lady Tornadoes are rolling again after that Maryville loss.
Well, we've had that action, and then an exciting night, Thursday and Friday night for some high school action. There were some blowouts Thursday night, and then Friday night we had some good games as well. So why don't we go ahead and take a look at our week 2 top 10, how things were going in week 2 before we jump into our week 3, where they stand now. So this is what it looked like last week. As we were going into the week, looking ahead at some games, we had Alcoa, Maryville, Sevier County, then Gatlinburg, Pittman, Jefferson County, Morristown West, Lakeway Christian, Carter, Pigeon Forge, and Granger rounding out the top 10. So, Brian, with that said, we've got 5 undefeated teams out of the 20 that we cover. So there are 5 that remain undefeated after week 2.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about where things shake out for our week 2 top 10.
Well, Thursday night we had the pleasure of having both number 1 and 2 in action. Number 1, Alcoa struggled a little bit in the first half against Gatlinburg Pittman, and it was 10-7 with just 25 seconds to go until halftime, and then Alcoa managed to score with 25 seconds left. As Gatlinburg Pittman, if they were really going to stay in that game, they needed to take it to halftime with only a 3-point deficit. That did not happen, and it became a blowout later in that game, and Gatlinburg Pittman would ultimately fall 52-17. Well, Daniel, I went on the road Thursday night for Maryville at Powell. And, that game was another where we saw one of our top teams in number 2, Maryville, get off to a slow start. Powell, without their starting quarterback, who got injured in the Anderson County game, Maryville managed to put a field goal through the uprights, take a 3-0 lead at the end of the first quarter. But, Matthew Clemmer and Noah Vaughn really started to get things going in the second quarter, and then they went to halftime 17-0, and then the rest was history. Actually, Powell did not cross midfield until the third quarter, and they were able to get two late touchdowns, but 38-13 was the final in that game. So that was our Thursday night, as we had two teams in action from our coverage area.
We had a great game, and Powell's really good on defense. They're athletic. They've got some guys. They got a couple guys on defense that are really hard to block, and so we expected that. And a lot of it was us trying to feel out what we need to do. What's our best plan? Because you're not 100% sure how they're going to line up. And they did a lot of adjustments in this game defensively. Give their guys credit, to try to slow us down. I think our defense played phenomenal. I really do. I think our coaches deserve a lot of credit. Our kids deserve a lot of credit for executing. They've got, I know their quarterback not playing hurt them a lot. He's a phenomenal player, but they've still got weapons on the perimeter, and I think our guys did a great job.
And we also had a great night Friday night. We had some other big games out there. We had Morristown East taking on Knoxville Halls. Morristown West was playing a big one, as well as Jefferson County. So talk to us about those Friday night games and where our top 10 teams shake out.
Well, obviously Sevier County had a big game on Friday night at Carter. The Smoky Bears were actually able to come out with another hard-fought victory, winning 20-14 in overtime. We picked a good one there for Game of the Week, Daniel.
Yeah, we did. That was some good action out there.
First overtime game of the year, but, the funny thing is neither team had scored in the first half. It was 0-0 at halftime. Carter comes out. Chandler Wilson throws for a touchdown, and then, Sevier is able to come back and take a 14-7 lead, and then they have their backs against the wall about midway through the fourth quarter. Carter is backed up at their own 2-yard line. A bomb from Chandler Wilson to Caleb Harper. 98 yards later, he's at pay dirt. It's 14-14. So that's how we went to overtime, as Carter was not able to score in the last drive, where they had, roughly a little less than a minute to try and take it down the field. Carter then is unable to get the ball in the end zone, come up a yard short, and I'm not sure if they ruled it a fumble on the final play, as the ball carrier reached out, tried to get his hand across the pylon, but nonetheless, it was not getting in the end zone. So that turned the ball over on fourth down to Sevier, and really, Sevier hasn't liked to keep the ball much field goal-wise outside of extra points this year. So really, they could have elected, after stopping Carter in overtime, to just say, hey, let's keep the field goal, but they didn't. They ran the ball and were able to get in the end zone. In 2014, Sevier improves to 2-0 and remains at the number 3 spot for us.
He's got to keep working and getting better, and just keep attacking every day. We just let a lot of opportunities get away from us today, and penalties didn't help us, and play calling was really bad on my part. So hats off to our defense, who played probably their best game in 3 years, and offense couldn't help them out this time. So that's on me. I got to get better as a coach. Not the start we want, but it's certainly not the it's the beginning of our season. So a long way to go, and a long road to improve, and just keep getting better, and we'll be fine for region play.
I just told these guys, I said, we expect a lot out of them, standards and the culture we've established, but I also told them it's also hard to do, and they came through with it. Had several chances to fold their tents, I believe, some momentum things. We just keep playing. I mean, everything's not always going to go right, just like in life, but if you keep plugging away, eventually you reap what you sow. And these guys got a little taste of that tonight, I think.
Yeah, and if you look at the standings down on the bottom of our homepage at SmokyMountainSports.com, you'll actually see that Carter dropped to the 17 spot on our football standings at 0-2 on the season. But let's talk about Jefferson County and how things went for them Friday night.
Yeah, Jefferson County, they move up into the fourth spot, which was occupied by Gatlinburg. Obviously, Gatlinburg Pittman's not going to fall too far because, we give a little leniency uh, to a lost Alcoa, especially if you played so well in the first half. But Jefferson County, they came out just like the other game, was a little bit of a slow start. Neither team had scored in the first quarter, but Jeff County really turned it on and came away with a big win over a much improved Cocke County team. And that score ended up 45-3 in favor of the Patriots. So that was a big game for them, a big way to rebound from that Sevier County loss to open the year.
So that was a great game. Also, another really good game that we saw was Morristown West and Hardin Valley. So Morristown West, they move up to number 5, just ahead of Gatlinburg Pittman at 6.
Yeah, Morristown West, they got down early, but were able to come back with a 27-13 win over 6A Hardin Valley. Second straight year that Morristown West has started 2-0, but they were not in our coverage a year ago. So, we got a newcomer entering the top 5, and Morristown West will have a big test this week, which we'll talk a little bit about later.
And our 5th team out of our coverage area that remains undefeated is Lakeway Christian, off to a 2-0 start, and they're going to visit North Green this coming week.
Yeah, Gatlinburg Pittman ends up going back to where they started the year at the 6th spot, and following them are the Lakeway Christian Lions. They stay at number 7. Big win over Midway, though, 48-7. And this week they'll get an opportunity. This is the first 2-0 start in school history. This is only the third year of the program. So they're going to have an opportunity this week going to North Green to go to 3-0. Lakeway's just been a pleasant surprise, though. When I talked with their coach, Thad Wells, before the season, I knew that this was a sleeping giant, and that's what he said, in his interview. And he's sticking to his word. Lakeway's just turning heads this year.
And now joining our top 10 at number 8, it's the Kings Academy Lions, Brian.
Yeah, we've got more Lions, Daniel. It's the year of the Lion. After a disappointing opening defeat to CAK, the Kings Academy righted the ship for the most part on Friday night. They hosted Meigs County, who's a 2A power, the 10-win team from a year ago, beat them 34-24, and that was one that kind of impressed and surprised me. So that got them back into the top 10 after a 1-week hiatus. So they're at number 8.
And at number 9, we've got South Doyle. Tell us why they are in the top 10 now.
Well, they had a good win against a tough team in Grace Christian. This is a team that lost narrowly to our number 7 team, Lakeway, in the opener. And South Doyle, they played a lot better on Friday night than they did that opener against Oak Ridge. That one's just everything fell apart for them in that opener. So that was enough to get them back in after a week's hiatus at number 9. That was a 34-28 win on the road for South Doyle. So actually them playing on the road, that improves the quality of that win as well and gets them back in at 9.
And then we've got a third newcomer to the top 10 in Morristown East. They've joined the pack with their win against Knoxville Halls on Friday night.
Yeah, choosing number 10 was difficult because, at this point, that's where it kind of, after I feel number 8 in TKA is where kind of there started to get a little bit of separation. Still, South Doyle, Grace is an 0-2 team, but, just the way that they rebounded and the fact that, that Oak Ridge was a 5A, solid 5A team, that helped their cause. And at number 10, Morristown, big win over not a great Halls program, but they just fought back after that tough opening Saturday loss to Morristown West, and were able to get a 34-28 win. Seymour was considered here, but the way they lost to Gatlinburg, and then edging out a not so great Cherokee team that really took one on the chin to Cocke County last week. And we still don't know a whole lot about Cocke County, but we learned a little more on Friday after Jefferson County took them behind the woodshed. So, this might be a really bad Cherokee team, a team that might be a one-win team or not even win a game. So, and then, Carter. I still think Carter will work its way back in the standings, but you and I talked, and I just didn't like the prospect of having an 0-2 team in. 0-1 was fine, but I do feel like Carter will work its way back in because they've got too talented of a team not to.
And that's our week 2 top 10 in high school football. But week 3 in high school means it's week 1 in college. So now here is our college preview. Take a look at the 4 schools that we're going to be covering this football season for college. We've got some games that start on Thursday night, and that is Tusculum and Tennessee, both playing on Thursday night, and then Carson Newman and Maryville College each play on Saturday. So, Brian, it's going to be a great season of college football and an even busier season for us since we're adding them to our roster.
Yeah, well, Carson Newman, they've got a lot of work to do, coming off a 1-9 season and a loss to rival Tusculum. Tusculum won that game 48-13 a year ago, and the only win for Carson Newman was a 27-21 win over Limestone. So Carson Newman, can't go anywhere but up from 1-9 unless you obviously don't win a game. So we're looking for some improvement with Carson Newman. Tusculum's coming off a 5-6 season. They're going to be playing St. Augustine at 6 p.m. on Thursday night, so that should be an exciting kickoff to the season for them. Maryville College, coming off a 4-6 season, they actually started at 0-4, but were able to win 4 of their last 6, so they finished strong. They're going to be playing Berry at 2 p.m. on Saturday, so I'm looking forward to going to that game on Saturday. And then we've got the team that everybody loves, the Tennessee Vols. They are actually the only one of our 4 teams that actually went to the postseason last year. They lost their bowl game to Purdue in excruciating fashion. There's a lot of people thought that they got into the end zone, but they ended up losing 48-45. Key players for Tennessee that you'll see in their Thursday night game, they kick off at 7 p.m. against Ball State at home from Muncie, Indiana. That's where Ball State's from. And did you know that's David Letterman's alma mater?
Oh, I did not know that.
I have a professor that I had at Bama in grad school that teaches there, and he said he stops in occasionally. So, yeah. So we got
That's
Tennessee
cool.
versus the Fighting David Lettermans on Thursday night. So with some key players.
Who are you taking in that one?
What's that?
You taking who are you taking in that one? The Vols or the Lettermans?
Well, Tennessee's 33.5 favorite, so I don't know if they'll cover, but I think it'll be close. So I'm taking the Vols.
Good.
Josh Heupel's second year, coming off a 7-6 season. Many are expecting UT to make a jump to 9, some maybe 10 wins. It's a favorable schedule outside of, you get Bama at home, but it doesn't matter if they play that one on Mars. That's probably going to be a tough game as Alabama's going for their 16th in a row against the Vols. And then you go to Georgia, from some people I've talked to, Tennessee fans and non-Tennessee fans, some people like that as an upset. Nobody's got faith in the Georgia QB that won the national title game, so Stetson Bennett. So we'll see about that. And then that's Florida is always a game that Tennessee has trouble with. So Florida comes to Knoxville. So you got to win that game if you're Tennessee, if it's going to be a great year. So third game of the year, a lot, or fourth, excuse me, the fourth game of the year. So a lot is going to hinge on how they do in that game, whether they win Florida or not, because 2 weeks later they go to Baton Rouge in Death Valley. So that's another one that's going to be tough. So you'll learn a lot about Tennessee in weeks 4 and 5. Hendon Hooker is he's on several preseason watch lists for, the Maxwell Award and some different things. But the way he plays is going to be key to Tennessee's success, because last year they started the year off with Milton at quarterback. He came in when Milton went down in the Pittsburgh game and pretty much kind of took the reins for the Vols for the rest of the season. Cedric Tillman's a big wide receiver that, they need to have him to have a monster year as well. And you've got linebacker Jeremy Banks. So those are some players to watch out for the Vols.
Well, it's going to be an exciting season in college sports. Great slate for this week coming up. Now it's time to look. Now it's time to Wookie, whatever. It's time to look at our week 3 games in high school football. Brian, we're going to start with Northview Academy at Alcoa. I think we all know how this one's going to go.
I think we do. Northview coming off a big win over a West Green squad. This not a great team for, basically how can you sugarcoat that? They beat them in that form of fashion last year, and then Alcoa came to town. It was like a 63-8 win. So something like that. Don't quote me on that score because I didn't look it up from a year ago. But it was a score of that nature.
It was a big win.
So yeah, but it's going to go much like last year. Northview Academy has a new coach, so I expect he came over from Catholic. Was a coordinator from Catholic, who's one of the largest private schools in Knoxville. So I do expect him to be able to right that ship, but it won't be Thursday night because Alcoa is going to come in fired up, and they're probably going to be fired up about how poorly they played in the first half against Gatlinburg-Pittman. So look for them to have a fast start. I would expect one of those where it's 35-0 by the end of the first quarter or early in the second quarter.
And our next game, Knoxville Central, is at Sevier County.
Yeah, Knox Central, we're getting into our region play this week, which is exciting. Sevier County is going to try to go 3-0, and you've got a Knox Central team that I saw them in the Jamboree against Carter. They didn't look great, but they're coming in off a win, and they're coming in at 1-1 after a treacherous week 1 loss. But that's a game that Sevier County can win and really needs to win to get off to a positive start in their region.
And Farragut at Maryville is another region game. Farragut is 1-1 coming into an undefeated Maryville.
Yeah, Farragut is a team that Maryville played twice a year ago, and it surprised some people. They kept it a really close game in their playoff matchup in the state quarterfinals. Maryville won that game 28-21. A year ago, they were 0-2 coming into this game, and leading up to that game, Coach Derek Hunt told the press that this was the best 0-2 team in the state. Farragut, they've got talent. They have talent in every sport, much like Bearden, their rival in Knoxville. So, it'll be a tough game, but Maryville obviously should prevail because they have a lot of talent as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game between those two. So our next game we're going to talk about is Cosby, who's traveling all the way up to Jellicoe.
Yeah, Jellicoe. When I first heard this name when I moved here, I kind of thought of it. It's like a mix between Jello and that Alabama drink, they call Grapey-Co.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's Jellicoe.
Jellicoe.
This is a team, Jellicoe's starting 0-2. So, really, this is a team that's had some good seasons here recently. They really put it on Cosby a year ago. But, Cosby, this is their time to pounce and go and get a road win so that maybe they can sneak in the top 10. They took one on the chin with a shutout last week as they went to Unicoi. But we talked about that Unicoi game and, 42-0. It was a shutout a year ago as well. That's a 3A team that only lost 2 games last year, and their last loss was in the playoffs to Pigeon Forge. So that's not a game that I think anyone really expected Cosby to win, except maybe the coaches and the players, as Unicoi came in to Cosby on Friday night and gave them a whooping. But it's a 3A school, so that's one of those games that really just shows a measuring stick of how far you've come from the spring until now. So I think Cosby will get fired up, and we'll see how they do at Jellicoe on Friday night.
And we've got our undefeated Lakeway Christian, who's going to be at North Green this week.
Yeah, I decided to throw in a bonus game this week just because Lakeway is undefeated, and usually we go with five games, but I threw in a 6th to preview and pick this week because Lakeway obviously is going to have a good shot to go to 3-0. They are visiting North Green. That's the game we're actually going to be at North Green on Friday night. So it should be an exciting atmosphere as Lakeway tries to run the record of 3-0.
Now it's time for our Week 3 game of the week. It is Davy Crockett at Morristown West. Brian?
All right. Well, like I said earlier, Morristown West, they started 2-0 a season ago. This was where it ended. In this game, they had to travel to Davy Crockett a year ago. And this year they get that game at home, and they're both 2-0. So, that is going to be a very tough test for the Trojans. But luckily, it's at home, and we're going to be at that game as well on Friday night. So I'm anxious to see how Morristown West performs, especially with the success and emergence of running back Tyson Johnson this year. He's really carried the load for them.
He has, and it's going to be an exciting game for sure to see which team can come out remaining undefeated. So last week, if you didn't catch it, during Friday Night Bites, we visited Retro Taco. Well, we didn't visit Retro Taco. Brian visited Retro Taco and did not ship me any, so I'm a little bitter about that because that
there wasn't enough left. There wasn't.
That steak fajita quesadilla looked dang good.
Oh, it is. Y'all need to get down there to Retro Taco and check it out.
And you can find Retro Taco in Knoxville on Sevier Highway. And you can find Friday Night Bites on our homepage, SmokyMountainSports.com, SmokyMTNSports.com. And Brian, now it's time for your favorite part of the week. It's the Weekly Advantage, where Brian decides which teams he thinks are going to win in the week ahead out of the 6 games that we're previewing this week. We're going to start on Thursday night with Northview Academy at Alcoa.
Alcoa minus 42. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
It's a simple cut and dry.
It's a good Northview Academy team that's 1-1, but we all know Alcoa is a tried and true team up here, and we certainly
we knew back in last December when Alcoa carried the trophy off the field that it was already going to be a collision course to a 3-0 Alcoa versus 3-0 Maryville on week 4. So that's where we're heading. So I think Maryville's going to take care of business in this tune-up game and try to fix all the chinks in the armor that they might have had in the first half against Gatlinburg Pittman, because they're going to have to fix those things before Maryville. You have a bad first half like that against Maryville, you play sloppy, then that could turn into a 21-24 nothing halftime deficit you got to crawl out of, because Maryville's a really good team. So yeah, 42 minus 42 for Alcoa.
All right, and now we're heading to Sevier County. Knox Central is coming to town.
Daniel, I actually like Sevier County in this game. They have not made it easy on themselves the first 2 weeks with a 7-6 win over Jefferson County and a overtime win against Carter. But granted, these are two teams that started the season ranked rather highly. So Knox Central, they will not make it easy in this one either. But I like them to win this game by at least a touchdown. So I'm going to give Sevier County at home 7.5. So that one minus 7.5, Sevier County. And I expect them to stay undefeated.
All right, well, that'll be a great start for Sevier County, the Smoky Bears. Now we've got Farragut coming to Maryville.
Well, the first game of this contest at Farragut last year was not as close, but the playoff game ended up being a touchdown, one-score game. So I think Maryville, like I said, just like Alcoa, they're getting ready for that big matchup. I think Maryville will win by 18. So I'm taking Maryville minus 18.
All right. Well, we've got Cosby on the road traveling to Jellicoe.
Jellicoe starts the year 0-2. Cosby, a big win in their opener. I think Cosby, I've got them. Jellicoe be at home. I will say Jellicoe plus 9.5. I think Cosby goes up there and gets the win.
Very nice. That'll be big for Cosby to go 2-1 in the first 3 weeks. Now to Lakeway Christian visiting North Green.
Well, North Green is at home in this contest, but they are 0-2. So I expect them to be 0-3 after the upstart Lakeway Christian Lions leave town on Friday night. This is a game that, I don't expect the score to be 48-7 like the score last week, but I will take, North Green plus 15.5. So I'm expecting another big win from Lakeway Christian.
And to put Lakeway at 3-0.
It would. So I don't think that I've picked any of our teams to lose.
No, not so far. Well, let's see how you do with our game of the week. Davy Crockett coming in to Morristown West.
Okay, well, this one, Morristown West, like I said when we previewed these, this is where they fell, and got knocked from the ranks of the unbeatens a year ago. But this year, it's not going to happen. This year, Morristown West is going to win that game at home against Davy Crockett. How tough can it be against one man? But I think they can get it done. Yeah.
I suspect they'll probably have 11 out there on the field, not just one.
Yeah. Hey, the big matchup in Tennessee is Davy Crockett versus Daniel Boone. Who would you like in that one?
A one-on-one.
Davy Crockett.
I don't know. I might go with the coonskin cap on that.
Yeah. I'm taking Morristown West. I'm taking them 5.5. So I'll go Morristown West minus 5.5. So I think that they're going to pull out the win and get to 3-0 behind the strong running of Tyson Johnson.
Well, it should be a great game of the week, that's for sure. Now, Brian, it's time for your final thoughts and a preview of our other games that are coming up in week 3.
Yeah, well, outside of the games that we just talked about, I've got my handy notebook here. You're going to have Morristown East at Dobbins Bennett. Dobbins Bennett is coming off of a 31-0 to win in their opener against Tennessee, and last week they beat Volunteer 41-0. That might brew trouble for Morristown East. They have not allowed a score yet, so hopefully East can score. Jeff County at William Blount, who is 0-2. William Blount took them a little bit last week against Carnes, but they finally got on the board this season. So William Blount's got a tough task as Jeff County comes to town. We also have Union County at Pigeon Forge. Pigeon Forge is 0-2, looking to get on the board with a win this season. Let's see. We have Austin East at Gatlinburg-Pittman. The Gatlinburg-Pittman, actually, some of the coaches and players went out and scouted them since they played on Thursday night on Friday. Austin East is 0-2, so this should be a good opportunity for Gatlinburg-Pittman to get back on the right track in region play. Let's see, Cocke County at Heritage. This was a battle of the winless a year ago, and Cocke County won a thriller. I expect Cocke County should, be able to pull that one out and move to 2-1 next week. Howard at TKA. TKA's third home game of the season, the third of 8 home games. So kind of a nice homestand by TKA to start the year. Howard is 0-2, so this is another opportunity for TKA to get a win. Scott at South Doyle. South Doyle comes in, after that big win over Grace Christian. They're playing the Scott team that's 0-1. They lost. They had a bye in the first week, and then last week they lost 55-13 to Coalfield, which is a 1A. So I expect South Doyle to take that one. And then lastly, we've got Gibbs versus Carter. Carter should be able to move that record to 1-2 this week. Gibbs lost 52-7 to Webb, the team that beat Carter in week 1, but they didn't beat them that bad. So those are our games for week 3, and I'm excited for a big weekend.
That's all we've got for this week of Smoky Mountain Sports. And we always want to remind you that you can text any updates and final scores throughout the week to 865-268-9088. That's 865-268-9088. If you want to support our efforts to cover high school and some college sports in East Tennessee, you can do that at patreon.com. Just go to patreon.com/SmokyMTN Sports. Patreon.com/SmokyMTN Sports. And our Smoky Mountain Sports podcast is now available on your favorite podcast platform. All right, buddy, that's going to do it for tonight, and we'll see you all again next week.